Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS22 tutorial video. In this video I'll tell you how a mod gets into the Modhub. And this is not a modding tutorial, but it is an information video for players who are full of questions about how this Modhub magic works. And that is what I will tell you: how long it takes, why it takes so long, what is happening there, and so forth. But first I'll tell you what is a mod and what is the Modhub. And then we go into the question how the mod gets into the Modhub. So, a mod is something we have in a lot of games. It's a modification of the game, and it's something that a developer makes that is not working at the official developer of the game. So more or less a private person or a group of private persons who do stuff for the game, but they are not part of the official development teams. And yeah, some of the modders work rather professional. Lots of them are developers for boring stuff like bookkeeping or so in their everyday life, and use the time to do mods in their spare time. And other modders do their mods semi-professional, so they earn money with the mods they do, and yeah, it's very different. Most of them just do it in their spare time. And yeah, what is called a mod differs from game to game. In Farm Sim, everything is called a mod what is done from an external developer and is offering something for the game. And here we have the Modhub already. I will tell you about this later, but here we can see a good variety of typical farm sim mods. There are the maps, and then we have vehicles and all kind of appliances, bigger ones and smaller ones, old and new. Then we have all kinds of buildings with and without function. And then finally we have script mods that change the behavior of the game. And in the farm sim world they are all just called mods. And yeah, sometimes the maps are a little bit separated. So some people say mods and maps, but maps are part of the mods. And I tell you this because in other games they only call the script mods as mods, and when something is constructed, it's called custom content also. But in Farm Sim, it's all mods. And I talk about all kinds of mods in this video. And yeah, what I wanted to tell you in this regard are two things. The first thing is all mods for Farming Sim should be free. So you should never need to pay for a mod. So Giants, the developer of the game, gives us modders, yes, I'm a modder myself, one of the very few female farm sim modders, and so I speak from experience as a modder myself. And maybe you already know quite a lot of my mods. But this is about all kinds of mods, not only my mods. So we modders, we get support from giants. We get software that helps us to do mods, and therefore they tell us you may use our tools and you may use our assets, but you may never charge for mods. So if you go somewhere and see someone who says, okay, you can buy my FS22 mod, here you pay so and so much dollars, then you know this is not okay. And I would advise to not use this mod and not pay for this mod. You can do as you like, but this would be the official recommendation. Not to support modders who charge for mods, because Giants really doesn't allow it. What is a totally different thing if a modder says, oh, I would be happy if you give me $1 or so, so if you give me a donation, this is totally okay. So as long as you are not forced to pay for the mod, it's totally okay if a modder say, oh, please, here is my PayPal and give me some money if you like. Okay, that's the one thing. The other thing is there are thousands and thousands of mods out there. So if you decide that you want to play with mods, you don't need to download and install all mods that are available. Even if they are free, even if it is tempting to get everything you can get for free and collect everything, this is not the point. You will make yourself unhappy if you download and install all the mods that are available. Because even the best PC isn't able to work with all kinds of mods, with thousands of mods installed. Some very strong PCs may be able to work with 1,000 mods, but not with all the mods that are available. So even if it's tempting to take everything that you can get that is for free, I would recommend not to do it. To do cherry picking. Just have a look what kind of mods you really want to use, or what kind of mods you want to try, and if you like it, it's fine, and if you don't like it, install it. And especially when you have an old PC or the worst old console. With an old console, it's not possible to collect all mods, so you can't even do this. But then the cherry picking is even more important. Have a look what is interesting for you, take this, and if you don't use it, deinstall it. This is no problem at all, and just use the mods that you really like to use. And yeah, let's see here from this page. For my personal playstyle, there is not a single mod on this page that I would install. That doesn't mean that all the mods or one of those mods is bad. No, not at all. It's just that for my playstyle, I don't need them. And yeah, but it can be that you, for example, are very excited about this pickup, for example, or about one of those maps, or about the Cowbarn set from Lancy Boy. I'm sure this is a wonderful mod, but I don't need it and I don't want it. And therefore it is totally normal that mods come out. This is are the mods from one mod release day. And it happens that one day mods come out and you think, okay, there is nothing in this mods today that I want. And this is okay. You don't need to get new mods every day. And because it even if your machine can work with a lot of mods, it slows your game experience down. The performance suffers from too much mods. And the more mods you have, especially if you have script mods, the more likely it is that you have conflicts between the mods. And then you get problems and so. So just take what you want. And then very often I read in the forums or I hear from people, they say, oh, the mods, they are all rubbish. And why do they release only this rubbish mods? No mods that are interesting. And yeah, if you think like that, then be aware that there are other players that have different playstyles and that have different interests. So yeah, if all this here is not interesting for me, at least not in the moment, maybe I would like to use this old cultivator at a different time. Then I can find it in the cultivator area. But even for me, if for me this is not interesting, it can be interesting for a lot of people. And here you see this Silverado has been rated already by 1,000 people, nearly 1,000 people. So, and you can multiply it a lot of times. So it's at least downloaded, I would say maybe 30,000-50,000 times already. So this is a very, very interesting mod for a lot of people. So your own opinion about whether a mod is good or interesting or needed is not what is the opinion for other players. And therefore, I would wish from you that you keep this in mind and allow mods to be released that are not interesting for you. Sometimes there was a soap box for driving, like for the kids driving. And I know exactly there are a lot of people who got so excited and who liked it so much and who have so much fun with it. And other people were complaining, why does the Modhub team release such garbage? And it's no garbage. And the Modhub team doesn't take those decisions. They are not allowed to decide, oh, a soapbox is garbage, we don't release it. It's not their task to decide whether a mod is valuable. They have formal criteria for testing, and I will talk about this later in this video. And yeah, what we have to talk about on this page still is quite a lot. I fear this will be a rather long video because there is a lot to tell about this topic with mods and the Modhub and so on. So there are a lot of mod websites out there, third-party mod websites from modding teams and let's be friendly and say mod collectors, and yeah, and sometimes from modders themselves. So different kind of modding websites for download where you can download mods, and the trustworthiness of those websites is different. So some are very good and some are not so good. And but you can only download mods for PC and Mac on those websites. And one time, it's some years ago, Giants, the developer of the farming simulator, decided they make their own mod website, and where they offer tested mods that have a certain quality and that can be downloaded for consoles as well. And therefore we have the Modhub. The Modhub is the official modding website from Giants, and every mod is tested. And most of the mods in Modhub are available for consoles too. But there are some exceptions. There are, for example, the script mods, like this, that change the behavior of the game, and scripts are not allowed on console. That is no decision from Giants, but a decision from Sony and Microsoft. They don't allow scripts running in Farming Simulator on consoles. And therefore, if you are a console player, you can't use those script mods. And then if maps are really big, bigger than the standard size, 4 times as big or 16 times as big, then they can't be played on consoles. Giants tried to make some 4 times map available on the newer consoles for FS22. They tested a very simple 4 times maps, but it didn't work out. So it was too much for the consoles. Maybe in a later iteration of the farm sim, it can be made possible that modern consoles can play on bigger maps, but right now not. And the third reason that speaks against the use of consoles is if Giants doesn't have a license for a brand. And here we have a perfect example of this. So this is a Chevrolet pickup, and Giants doesn't have a license, a contract with Chevrolet to make vehicles and so on with this brand. For the PC, it doesn't matter. So for the PC download here on this website, it's something a gray zone, so to say. So it's not totally okay, but Giants can say, okay, it's the modder that is releasing that, and therefore, yeah, it's not our thing. But for the consoles, Sony and Microsoft have a very strong opinion, and they say, oh no, only mods with brands where you have a license can be released for consoles, and therefore no Chevrolet for consoles. And therefore Giants has their own brand, and this is called Lizard. And if a modder has a big heart for console players and makes vehicles with brands that don't have a license with Giants, then the modder makes a second mod under the brand Lizard. So this here is only available for PC and Mac, and this Lizard is available for all platforms, so for consoles and for PC as well. And so he has to do more work to test both mods and to make different decals, and so it is quite a lot of work to make both of those. But a lot of modders, they have this heart for console players, and they say, okay, I take this time to make a special version that the console players can use this wonderful vehicle as well. And so if you see this, there are two similar looking mods, and one with a fancy name is only available for PC, and only the Lizard is available for consoles. It's no time to complain, to say, oh, we console players always only get the Lizard. Oh, this is not so nice. I hate the modder. Yes, I've read this. I heard those complaints. But it's the opposite. This modder took the time to make something special for console players, that console players have the chance to use this vehicle and to use his mods, and therefore you could be angry on Microsoft and Sony, but not on the modder. The modder should get your thanks, so to say. Yeah, and that is something I hear and read it a lot, those complaints, this idea of a lot of console players. Oh, they don't like us, they don't make enough for us, we are the poor guys, and so. And then they don't see when modders make something special, especially for them, and therefore sometimes the modder gets disappointed, and some modders decide, okay, when I get so many complaints, I won't make anything for console players again. Even some modders decide not to make anything on Modhub anymore, because they get complaints for nothing. And therefore, I think it's a good idea for all mod users, and especially for console mod users, that you understand what is happening, and then you know when to complain and when better not to complain. Okay, I think that is this about this website of the Modhub. But the Modhub is not only a website. The Modhub exists in-game as well. And here we have it in the area downloadable content. And this is the same Modhub than I showed you on the website. We have the same mods here. And here is an overview with all the categories. Here we see tractors, for example. And here where the plus sign is, there are the new mods that have just been released. And you see those maps, and here the pickups and all the same stuff that we can see on the website. And console players can only install mods through this in-game Modhub. And PC players can choose whether they use the in-game Modhub or the website Modhub. They get the same mod in the end. But if you are a beginner, I would recommend to use the in-game Modhub, because it's really easy to install. You don't have to juggle around with zip files and such and search your mod folder, and so you just have to go here. Let's take this and then here install, and then it takes few seconds. If it's a big map, it takes a little bit longer, and then it's installed. But this video is not about how to install a mod. I already made a dedicated video about this, and this is much shorter, the how to install a mod. And if I think on it, I'll put a link in the description below this video. Yeah, and I have to check whether I made this video in English, how to install a mod. If not, I will do it. So, yeah, this is the in-game Modhub. And here we are again with the website Modhub. There are other things that are interesting here. And yeah, I already talked about that. If you don't like a mod because you think, oh, I don't need this, it has nothing to do with farming or whatsoever, it's too small, it's too big, it's too green, it's too yellow, then that doesn't mean that others don't like it. And what is important to know, that the Modhub is no design competition. So that a mod is released at Modhub doesn't mean it has a perfect, price-worthy design or so, or that it is the most wished mod of the week or so. It's not, it's no prize winning that a mod is released at Modhub. A mod has to follow a whole bunch of rules, a lot of rules, and some are about design and to be released at Modhub, but it doesn't mean that this mod is a beautiful mod in the end. And therefore it can happen that there are maps released that a lot of people think, oh, such an ugly map. That happens. It's not the task of the Modhub to decide, is this map beautiful enough? They just don't question it. So a map can be totally ugly. If it has the necessary functionality, then it will be released at Modhub. And yeah, so therefore, if you find, I think for maps it is happens the most often, and some vehicles like the soapbox or so, people say, oh, we don't need this in the game, it's useless for the game, but others love it a lot. Yeah, but with this ugliness, it's very often a map and sometimes buildings. And yeah, so you can't count on, when you see a map in the Modhub, that it is the most beautiful map you have ever seen. It just isn't like that. You have to decide yourself. So we could just go here and have a look. We always get some information about each mod, about each map, and we get screenshots, and you can have a look and think, is this nice? Do I like it? How it looks? And of a map, the second is always the PDA map. You can see, okay, yeah, is this the type of fields I like to play with? Some people like the square and rectangle fields because of the helper, and others like it more irregular, like here. And then you can think, okay, I like the way how the fields look, or I don't like it. Here we can guess it has a lot of forest, and it's called Green Mountain. Yeah, logging and farming fictional map. And you can see it's a lot of forest. Do I like this or don't I like this? And then you can decide whether you want to give this map a chance or not. And then you can have a look at it. And if it's not your playstyle, you can just leave it and deinstall it. It's not even needed to give it a bad rating, because maybe it's just your personal preference that gives you the feeling, oh, I don't like it. And therefore, I would wish from you to never rate something according to your personal preference. So if you like small fields and a map has big fields, just don't play it, but don't rate it with a bad rating, because other players love this, and you can't say I give this bad rating because it has big fields. And so therefore, yeah, I find a bad rating okay if a map has, objectively speaking, a lot of errors or so. If it's made very bad, that is a different thing. But if the type of map is not your style, it's no need to give it a bad rating. Okay, and that happens a lot, especially with maps. They are rated rather bad, much worse than the other mods. And you can count a average map has taken 1,000 hours to make, and this is a 4 times map. This has taken much more than 1,000 hours, and therefore it can be heartbreaking for someone who worked for sometimes 1 or 2 years on a map, and then it get bad ratings only because people think I don't want to do foresting. And that happens, I'm sure. Those rather bad ratings here come from people who say, I don't like to do foresting. Yeah. So now we can go to the Modhub rules and so. Because I said what the Modhub is not testing, but now I can tell you what the Modhub is testing. And here we have the guidelines, 15 pages, and here are the rules that we have to follow that a mod can be released at Modhub. And here they write about exclusivity and so. This we will have a longer look later, and here we have the beginning of what they are looking at. And this is about the metadata, so the things all around the mod. It is the icon of the mod, the screenshots, the description of the mod. And yeah, so your mod must have at least 3 screenshots. One of it shows the machine or tool in an actual work environment. The first one shall never have text on it. And you have to follow those rules. They are very strict with those rules where you think, okay, this is more like bookkeeping rules. Does it has anything to do with the mod? It has to do with they want that this look and feel is similar. So you see all of those mods have a dark blue background. They have to. It's compulsory that we use this dark blue background. Only for maps. This is an exception. And yeah, the naming of a mod has to follow rules, and so that this overall feeling looks like it is orderly. And another thing, the mod icon must be saved as icon underscore star point DDS in the file format BCA1 without maps with the template background, this is the dark blue, in 256 and 2 times 256 format. So they tell us exactly how the mod icon should look. If it is any different or it has a different name, the mod fails. And a lot of those rules are that you first think, oh no, they are very, I don't know a very good English word for that, but they are not very generous with their rules. And they aren't. This is really like bookkeeping rules. But in the end, it's easy to follow if you know this, that the mod icon has to have this and this name and this size. You just do it in this size. And then everything looks nice and orderly. And with those metadata rules, they are rather strict. So yeah, the mod definitely fails if you don't follow those rules. And the other rules, they have to do with the naming of the zip file. And yeah, it is only working when you have the correct way to name the zip file. But it's easy to follow this rule. And then, yeah, finally there are some things that have to do with the mod itself, with the functionality. So the all mods have to have a log file that is free of errors. This is obviously and normal. And yeah, they check for collisions. So this is my most error that I have, that I forget to make some collisions, and then yeah, they say, oh, this and that doesn't have a collision, and they drive with a tractor through the wall and so. And even if I know this and I check on the collisions, sometimes I forget it, and then they always find it, and then it fails. And other modders have other typical problems. No floating objects in the world for maps and things like that. And for vehicles there are even other rules and so. Yeah, and you have to follow all those rules. And here is how a mod is tested. So first, as a modder, you have to check the mod yourself. You have to look into the log file, which is part of the game, and you can see whether there are errors. And there shouldn't be errors, obviously. And if there are errors, you have to find solutions that the errors disappear, so that your mod runs without errors. And then we have a test tool, which is very, very good. We got it in the end of FS19, and it helps a lot. It doesn't only help us modders, but also the Modhub team, because I think they get mods that are better tested than before. This test tool is testing for all kinds of stuff that can be tested by a program. Something like, do the icons and the textures have the right file format, and do they have the right size? And are there files that we don't need in this mod? And are there files missing in this mod? And all this kind of stuff. And they already test quite a lot with this tool, and I'm very thankful that we have this. And then when this self-test tool says everything okay, you pass, then I can upload the mod. And then it is on pending. They call it pending, when the mod is waiting for the test. And then that can take a while. And here we go to a different page. There is the daily testing list. Oh no, the sometimes daily testing list. So in good times, this list is refreshed every day. In bad times, not so often. Mostly it's done by Chucky, which is one of the German community coordinators. And if Chucky is sick and Kerminator has time, then Kerminator does it. Yeah, or Kermit. Here it was all done by Chucky, and you can always see the date when it's done. You can see here with this meme, and then the date when he made the new version. And here we see Kerminator. So maybe Chucky had some days off, or maybe he was sick. And this is made by Kerminator, 3 days in a row, and then the last one is Chucky again. So this is from Monday, December the 4th, which is today for me. So it's a very fresh list. And in this list, they tell us all about this list, and they show us the... Did I say this is in the Giants forum? Now I said it. Yeah, so if you go to the forum, Giant Software forum, then you can find it in the English forum area. And here we get a list of all the mods that are in testing at this moment when the community coordinator made the list. So when a mod was taken into testing quarter of an hour later, it's not in this. And when the testing of a mod on this list is finished, quarter of an hour later, it's still in the list, but it's not no more in test. Yeah, and usually you don't really get a lot of information of this map, but I still like to look at it every day, because you can get information, but not what you expect. So not every mod that will be listed here will come out. A lot of those mods never will be released at Modhub, because they have errors. They got a review from the Modhub team, and the modders say, okay, no, then I don't do it anymore. And then, yeah, no Modhub release. but a lot of other mods on this list will be released sooner or later. And you can't see from the appearance on this list when this mod will be released. So it can still take 1 or 2 months to be released, even if it is on this list. Here you can see my Lizard TARDIS XL. So I made an update for this Lizard TARDIS mod with new vehicles, and yeah, it got in the testing, but we don't know yet when the mod will be released. And so I don't know it, and you don't know it either from just looking at this list. And yeah, so the names are not always very descriptive. If you know a mod, for example, Lizard TARDIS XL, then you see, okay, this Lizard TARDIS XL is in testing right now when this list was done. But if you don't know what is, for example, Lizard AD14, then you don't know what this mod is all about. Then you can see maybe maps that you already know. American Falls, for example. You can see, okay, Lancy Boy has updated his map, and it's in testing for an update, but we don't know yet when it will come out. And then I see something here, Schwadeheim. That doesn't sound like a machine. Maybe it's a new map that I haven't heard about. So sometimes you can discover new maps in this list. That is my most interesting thing to look for in this list, to have a look. Are there maybe maps coming out sooner or later? Yeah, and here you can always see PC. So those maps are in the stage of PC testing. It doesn't mean those will be PC-only mods. No, not at all. It is the long and big stage of PC testing that they are in. And then there are sometimes more, sometimes less, mods with PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox S, and so on. And they are in console testing at the moment. So they are planned to come out as console mods. And in this moment, they are in the department of the console test. And you can't be sure that they will come out for the consoles, but most of them will come out for consoles. And here, this is a very interesting set of numbers, both for modders and for players. They tell us how many mods are just waiting to be tested, and 283 is rather normal, and it takes an average of 11 work days to wait until the testing starts. 11 work days are nearly 2.5 weeks, because we only have 5 work days. Sometimes there's a holiday, and then it's even longer. So the waiting time, the initial waiting time for a mod to be tested is already 2.5 weeks. And this is a normal time. In the end of FS19, it was much faster. There was only 1 workday to wait, and when I uploaded a mod, it was tested the next day. That was a lot of fun. But in FS22, it takes a lot of waiting. And here you can see the view from the modder side. So we have our own area where we can upload our mods and where we can see how often it has been downloaded and all kinds of stuff. And here you see the lizard TARDIS XL that I mentioned before. It has already done its waiting time, the pending, and then a tester took it for testing. It was assigned to a tester, but then the tester didn't found the time to test it yet. And therefore it is red because it's more than 3 days in the testing, and then it always becomes red. I don't know why, because as a modder I have an eye on this, how long does the testing take, even if it's not red. And I guess the testers, they have a different dashboard for this. But always when it's 3 days and longer in this testing stage, it becomes red. Before in FS19 that would have been disturbing, but in FS22 this is just normal. My longest mod was in this stage for 14 days. And I really thought they had forgotten this mod, or it was thrown under the table or somewhere like that. And I was planning on writing to them, what is going on with you guys? But then it suddenly jumped from test to testing completed, and then console testing, zack, 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 and it was out, and it went really fast. So they didn't forget about it. Okay, this is how it looks for the modder. And now we can have a look on this testing dance. We stopped in this pending area, and here you can see in this pending it stays for, at the moment, 11 work days. And then when it's assigned to a tester and the tester finds the time to actually do some testing, then they test it with their own testing tool. I guess they have a testing tool that is bigger and more powerful than our modder testing tool, but I don't know it. But I think that they have a more powerful testing tool where they check all the things that can be tested by a program. And it's good that we have this, because then the testing would take even longer. And when it fails, it goes into the review. And we'll talk about the review when we are done with this. Then we'll have a look at the review. And when it passes the test, it goes into the testing by a human. And the Modhub test from the testing team from Giants was about 6 people when I last heard about it. So I don't know whether they are more or less now, but they don't only test the mods, they also test the game and the DLCs. And so every time when Giants is making something new, the Modhub test or the testers have a lot to do with the DLC testing also, and they have less time for the mod testing. And you can see this really good when the testing time goes from 11 days waiting to, let's say, 15 or 16 days, which is more than 3 weeks. Then you can count on they are either preparing a new DLC or update, or some of them got sick, or they are on holiday. Yeah, so here we have the testing of by a real person happens. So he has a look on everything that can't be tested by the machine. He has a look on how the screenshots look, for example, and how the store icon looks, whether it is the quality of the mod icon. This is a little bit not a design competition, but it has to fulfill the taste of the testers. And it has to fulfill certain rules. And then when this checking of everything that is around the mod is okay, then they test it in-game. And depending on what kind of mod it is, yeah, when it's a vehicle, then they drive around with it and they do some field work and whatsoever. If it's a building, they place it, they listen whether it makes a sound when placing, whether the grass is disappearing in the area where you place the building. When it's a barn, they buy the cows, and so they test the gameplay functionality. And yeah, when it's a map, they have, as far as I know, a maximum time of half an hour to test the map. And therefore, for me, it's no wonder that there are quite a lot of maps that still have arrows. So the testing of the Modhub doesn't mean it is tested till the last end of possibilities of testing. So years and years of testing for every mod. They only have a short time to test everything. And especially for a map which is big, it is normal that you can't find every problem and error on a map in half an hour. So they check for the most important stuff. So yeah, some things are important for Modhub that are not so important for players. For example, whether beer is depicted or whether there are brands on this map that are not licensed and things like that. They are important for the Modhub team, but not for the players. But other things, they just don't have the time to test this. And therefore, it is normal that mods and especially maps comes out that still have errors, because the priorities of testing of the Modhub team are different than of the players, even with other mod types as well, and the time they have for testing is rather short. Yeah, and now we had this in-game test, and the tester think it's okay. It passed the in-game test. Then there are two possibilities. When it's mod that can't be released for consoles because it's a script mod, too big of a map, or it has a brand that is not fitting, then it will be released for PC. And in every other case, it's automatically going to the next stage, to the console testing. For the modder, after this stage, we have another stage that you can't see here. It is testing completed. And this is the worst stage for a modder, because it doesn't mean anything. It only means, okay, this testing round is done. And it can mean, okay, the mod passed and it goes on to the next stage. Or it can mean the mod failed and you have to change some things. And yeah, before in FS19 this stage was only a few hours long, and now it can be over the weekend. This testing completed stage can be quite a long time. I had it at something like 5 days. And for the modder, you get really nervous when it's on testing completed. This is the worst stage, at least for me. And then finally, when it awakens from the testing completed, you can see whether you have to change some things or it goes to the next stage, the console testing. And sometimes people think the console test is the most difficult test. I wouldn't say so, because here in this, the data check testing in-game test area, most of the mod is tested. So all the rules that apply to the Modhub mods and all the functionality things that I test and so, they're all checked in this area. And when this in-game test is passed and it goes to the console testing, it's only tested whether it works on consoles as good as on the PC. And in my experience, the console test never failed for me in a mod for FS22. And in FS19, I guess it failed once, but not because there were problems with the console, but they have overlooked a small problem in the test before, and then they found out while console testing. And then I got a review from the console testing. But usually, when this first stage is done, then I'm already happy, and yeah, and it's rather certain that the console test will pass. And that might differ for other modders, and that make other kinds of mods and so, but in my experience, the console testing is not the big problem. And yeah, they test all the other stuff on PC because they only have very few consoles for testing. You need a special console as a game developer to test unreleased stuff, and they have to be guarded very thoroughly and so, not everybody may touch this console that is for testing, and it's a really holy grail, this console testing stuff. Yeah, but for me as a modder, I'm always happy when it's in console testing. And then when it's passed, it will be released. And when it's a mod that can be released on console, it will be released at the same time with the PC. So here it looks like first there is the PC test, and then the PC release, then the console test, and then the console release. This is not the case. If a mod is only for PC, then it is released in this stage. But when it's also for console, then PC and console version are released at the same time, or at least in between a quarter of an hour, so at the same day. And now we have the review. Oh, and this video is already 1 hour long. I'm really chattering and chattering always. But there is so much I want to tell you about this Modhub testing process, and I think it could be important for you that you have a better understanding what is happening there, and that you don't need to ask so many questions about this. So, now we have the review. And a review is normal. So as I told you, usually I don't get a review from the console test, but rather in this area. And so when it first goes into testing, then I get the testing completed, and then I get an email. Sorry, your certification of the Modhub has failed. And then I have to go here to my dashboard, and then the review is down here, and usually I get quite a long text with several points that they have to complain. So I think when they find one thing that is bad enough for failing, then they add other small stuff as well that they think, oh, that could be improved. That is my personal experience. It's very rarely that there is only one point. And and most of the time there are some small stuff where I think, oh, this shouldn't have been a reason for failing. I guess it wasn't. There is only one main reason for failing, and then they think, okay, when it's failing anyhow, then I can say, please make this and that more like so and so, and please make this and that more like so and so. And yeah, then I have my list, what I have to change, and I do this. And even if I'm a little bit angry about what they want from me, yes, that happens. When it's changed and done, it was always the case that I thought my mod is better now. And I learned something from this. So even if I sometimes get a little bit angry about the Modhub team, I would thank them for their testing and for the things that they complain about my mods, because it makes me a better modder and it makes my mods better, and I learned such a lot through those reviews. They are hurtful. Yes, they are really hurtful, especially when you have to wait a long time for the testing. But they improve the mods a lot. And then you might think, okay, I'm talking here about a very thorough testing, and they complain about even small things and so. But what about the mods that are full of errors and they have been released? Because a lot of people, they are under the impression that a lot of Modhub mods are rubbish. I wouldn't think that a lot of Modhub mods are rubbish, but I know it can happen that mods with error can be released. I already talked about this. This is mainly because of the little time they have for the testing, and then they are people that are testing. So some of them are more thorough, they're more perfectionism driven, and others, they want to do their work and they want to get the mod out and suck and finished. And I can tell from the text that I get in the reviews that they are different people and they have a different approach. And so if you are lucky, you get to a tester that is driven by perfectionism and it gives you a review and that is looking to all the small things you might have done wrong or not in the way they thought it should be, then you improve. And on the other hand, if you are lucky, you get one of the more laissez-faire type of testers, and then your mod gets through without a review, if you're lucky. And a to get a review at least one time is normal. So if a modder tells you, yeah, I uploaded my mod, now it's through testing and they failed it, this is normal. So for me, it was a big problem when I started with modding and I uploaded my first mod to Modhub in the beginning of FS19 and I got a review. And I was so shocked from this review. I thought, oh, they don't like me, they don't want my mod. And then I thought, okay, then I don't release the mod at Modhub. It didn't occur to me to change the mod that all this many points would be fulfilled and then try it again. I was just so hurt about this review. And yeah, then I modded and only released my mods on my website, only for PC. And about 1 year later, I tried it again because I made a lot of progress and my mods have been improved a lot, and I got a review again. And I was hurt again and very sad and thought, oh no, they don't want my mods. And I kept on modding and improving. And then I heard a stream of a German modder and he said in the stream, just in between other stuff, just a small sentence thrown into the stream. He said, yeah, it's so normal to get a review. I always get at least one review. And I thought, what? Okay, so it was nonsense to be heard so much and to forget about this mod being released. And yeah, so this changed my mind completely. And then I was just working on a new mod and I thought, okay, this time I make it as good as I can, as I always do. And when I get a review, I go through all the points and change them and try it again. And that's what I did. And people were so happy about this mod. This was Frittenfritz, a selling station for French fries. Yeah, and people loved it, and console players loved it. And then I thought, okay, yeah, I should have known this 2 years before, because then I would have had much more mods at Modhub. So, a review is really normal, at least one. If you get a second one, that is bad luck, I would say, because usually they should find out all the errors they complain about in the first round, but sometimes they don't, and sometimes you get a second one. But this is rather rare, at least for me. So what do? If you get the review, I already told you, you breathe deep and say, okay, it's not such a big problem. I change all the things. Then I make the self-test again, upload it again, and wait again, and wait and wait, and all the testing is starting again. And then, when you are lucky, the mod releases. So, what I wanted to tell you about with this is, if a modder says, my mod is finished, I just uploaded it to Modhub, it can take 2 months till it is released at Modhub, because it has to go through all this waiting and testing, and usually it has to go through this 2 times. And yeah, so if you hear from a mod that you are very interested in, I just uploaded it to Modhub. It makes no sense to ask the modder the next day, what is with your map? It hasn't been released yet. You have to be patient. And for a modder, this waiting time is really getting to his nerves. Maybe not for all of them, but I guess for most of them, because I see a lot of modders that are at the end of their nerves in the end of the testing process. And therefore, maybe you could spare them some nerves and don't ask him every day or her what is about the mod. If the modder is open, usually they write about, oh, my mod got a review now, or my mod is in console testing. Then you can see, oh, it's okay. And if nothing happens at all and the modder has a Discord or Facebook or whatsoever, maybe you can ask after a while, but maybe it would be better to first have a look whether others are questioning the same, because if there are too many questions, when will the mod come out? You get a heart attack as a modder. And so a part of this video is about my wish for you, for me and for other modders. Yeah, maybe don't ask so much. It's good to know that people are interested in your mods. Yeah, so I wouldn't say never ask. That would be very sad, but not ask too often. That would be very nice and kind to the modders, because all this testing process is kinda hard. And even if I have, I think, more than 60 mods out now, it's still nerve-wracking to go through this testing process. And when I'm asked more than 10 times a day, what is about your map? When will it come out? I could scream. And I know exactly there are other modders that do scream. And yeah, maybe you have watched some human catastrophes in this regards and wondered, why is this modder so on the edge? Why is he reacting so strong? This is because this whole process is nerve-wracking as it is, and when the questions are too many, then it can really bring you into the loony bin. And yeah, but now you know how it's working, and now you know that it can take up to 2 months or maybe even longer if we have bad luck for a mod to be released after it is uploaded. And yeah, and then you can be maybe more patient. That would be awesome. Yeah, and you can always wish the modder good luck, that it goes fast, and then maybe you get the information you want to get. I'm so much looking forward to your map also. I had never a bad feeling about a comment like that. And I guess other modders won't have bad feelings about comments like that. Yeah, I hope you understood what I wanted to tell you. Yeah, and yeah, if you are still with me here, then thanks a lot for your patience. That means a lot to me. And I wish you a lot of fun with the mods that you use, and a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.